Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Rick Roll. Alright, in our last video we finished up the fabrication of the mineral display case. We put the lights in it, got them all kind of working, and then stripped the whole thing down in preparation for staining. And that's what we're going to do today. So when the fabrication process is completed and everything is put together the way I want, I take the whole thing apart, strip it right back to the wood. So I pulled all the lights out, I pulled the shelf brackets out, pulled the shelves themselves out. They're over here, and this is what we're going to stain today. And I have chosen this golden oak wood stain. I've used this a lot. This is basically the same color as the table in there. It's the same color as the desk. So it'll match real nice because I'm using the same lumber I've always used. And then I'm going to finish it off with this water-based polyurethane coating, which will make it shine. It's going to make it look really beautiful. So we got about one coat of this and probably about 5 coats of this. So let's get going. Alright, so I spent a little time now prepping the wood. Basically, one of the things they recommend is when you're staining your wood, right before you stain it, you wipe it down with kind of a damp rag. What this does though, it actually does 2 things. First off, it will help you clean off anything that's on there in terms of sand or grit from the sandpaper or dust from what was rubbed off and just kind of accumulated in there. And second, it also causes the wood to open up the pores, so when you do stain it, it sucks that stain way deep down inside, and that's what we want. That's going to give you the best color. So I just completed doing that. That's why you see a little bit more pattern here right now than normally would. That's just because it's a little bit damp. So we're going to let this dry for a moment, and then we're going to start staining. Alright, so basically what you do is you just kind of spread the stain on the wood, going with the grains, so you can go this way versus going this way. Get everything just nice and coated. Doesn't even need to be even, because once you get it on there and let it soak a little bit, and I've done both sides of this, you go in here with a rag and you kind of wipe off the excess, and that kind of makes everything kind of go back to kind of a natural, consistent color. And like I said before, if you open up the pores by putting a little moisture on it, it sucks the stain deeper into the wood, gives you a nicer finish. And it also, the longer you leave the stain on, the deeper it penetrates also. So this has actually been on for a little bit of time here, because it takes probably 15-20 minutes to do these 2 sections here. And so the stuff over there, sat for a little bit before being wiped off. But you can already tell this is going to look nice, isn't it? Alright, that looks great. It's going to look nice, isn't it? Alright, onward and upward. Alright, so we got the whole thing stained and dried off. Basically what you do is you put the stain on, going with the grain of the wood. You let it sit there for a little while. The longer you let it sit there, the more vivid the color is, and then you use a rag to dry off all the kind of still wet and sometimes a little greasy spots. But I think that's going to look really nice once we get it all assembled and lit up and all that. Get some coating of lacquer on it. There's the shelves. I did the top and the bottom of the shelves. I also know I probably didn't have to, but I did the back of the cabinet too. I don't plan on lacquer coating back here, but if you do happen to look behind it, I want it to kind of look like, oh yeah, it's just a complete piece. So I think that's going to look fantastic. Get that all glossed up. That's going to look really nice all the way around the front here. It's going to look really great. And then on the other side here. So yeah, I think this is going to look real nice. The beauty is, at this point, I can pretty much move right on to the lacquer coat. So that's what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to put the first lacquer coat on here. We're going to take probably five layers of lacquer to get this thing to look really nice. Now, one of the things I usually have to do is, especially on new wood like this, this is wood that was probably a tree maybe less than a year ago, and so there's still a lot of air inside of it. And so when I put the first coating of the lacquer on there, I'm going to run my finger over it. It's going to be really rough because as the air escapes from the pore of the wood, it kind of blows up little bubbles in the lacquer, and so you got to kind of sand that off the first couple times, or you'll have a really rough finish. But you know, that goes along pretty well. You usually want to sand it up a little bit between the coats anyway, just to get rid of any unsmooth or you know, unflat spots. So anyway, I'm going to continue on with the lacquer coating, and I'll let you see what we go, you know, how it looks after each coat. Alright, so we got the first coating of the lacquer on here. It actually takes a little bit of while to do this on this project, because this is a very, very large project. So even though I kind of started over in this section here, and the time it took me to get everything else done has basically allowed this section to dry, I'm actually a little bit tired right now, so I'm gonna go take a break, even though I could probably start here. This could be like that story they say about the Golden Gate Bridge and the people who painted, is that they start on one side and work their way to the other side, and by the time they get to the other side, they got to start back over again. And so yeah, that's sort of where we are here. But I'm gonna take a little bit of break, and we'll come back and do another coat. All right, another hour has gone by. I got a second coat on the cabinet and shelves. Actually, I'm kind of wrapping it up for the day. It's coming to the end of the day, and I got to go back to work tomorrow for my long week. So since I don't want to leave the car out in the garage, or outside of the garage, I've moved the cabinet into the house once again, and I'll show you what it looks like. It actually looks really, really nice, and it blends in really well with the other stuff in the area, and that's what I was kind of going for. So yeah, let's take a look at this. Now obviously it doesn't have the shelves in it yet, and that won't happen until we get a couple more coats of the lacquer on it, but looks like it blends in pretty well with the table above it, and the little pillow case that I have here. Got just, you know, pillows and blankets and stuff like that in there for, you know, if somebody was ever going to spend the night on this couch, which turns into a bed. But other than that, it just kind of stores my printer and stuff like that. And hopefully that chessboard will go up on top once we get about 90% of this, 95% of this into this case. So anyway, I think we're making great progress. A couple more coats of the lacquer coating, and this job is going to be done and in the history books. And then we can put it back together and bring it in here and get it all loaded up. I'm looking forward to seeing how it looks, because there's a lot of great stuff that's going in it. So anyway, I think that wraps up today's video. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.